everyone. Today I want to show you guys how I use Marvelous Designer to help me out when posing a character. As you can see, I have her in T-pose here, and I always had in my mind that I wanted the t-shirt to be simulated, so I didn't go ahead and sculpt any folds or anything like that, didn't give any extra detail to it in ZBrush. So I went from this pose to this one with the simulated mesh inside Marvelous, and I did not create anything inside Marvelous. I just used my mesh from Maya and transfer the data from Marvelous to my final mesh, which is pretty handy and maybe could be useful to you guys as well. So let's go to it. So for this project I use Maya, but you can feel free to use any other software that you like Blender, Max, Cinema 4D, or anything else. They will all have the tools for you to do the same thing I'm doing here. And when simulating, I always have at least 2 versions of the geometry that I want to simulate. This is, for example, my final geometry. You can see that it's a bit heavy on the polygon side. That happened because I wanted to retain the maximum amount of information I could from the simulation without having to use any displacement maps, without having to do anything too convoluted. So I kind of subdivided it twice. And also I have a proxy. This is the mesh I'm gonna use to simulate inside Marvelous. So I created this inside Maya. I did not do anything inside Marvelous with it. And the really important thing that you want to have is the UV. This will be the pattern Marvelous will recognize and use to simulate and to know the final form, the final shape of your object. Okay, so this is very important. You gotta have a good UVs laid out for you. So I just want to go back to ZBrush so I can export my base meshes. First one is going to be my default pose. I'm going to go to the low poly version of it, export it. I'm going to name it Amy. I already have one here. I'm going to go to pose mesh, go to the low poly version, export it as Amy pose. Also, I'm going to go to Maya and we'll export my proxy shirt as Amy shirt. Okay, that's it for now. Now I can go to Marvelous, and I have a blank scene here, and I can start importing my files. So I'm going to import an OBJ, Amy as an avatar. And for the scale, I'm going to use 2000% because I don't know why Marvelous does this, but it imports things smaller than what you have in Maya or ZBrush. And it's very important that you have an object that is at least a good size comparing to your grid, because Marvelous uses the size of the objects to calculate the distance between particles, and that means resolution. So if you have a too small of an object, it's not going to have any resolution no matter what you do. Okay, so I like to come here and import my models in 1000, 2000%. Okay, and I also like to give it a color like this, and yeah, here you go, you have it. And then I'm going to import for shirt. And the load type in here is going to be add, because you do not want to overwrite anything that you have in your scene. The object type is going to be garment. And this is really important. Trace 2D patterns from UV map. So your UV map are going to become your 2D patterns. Okay, and the size is going to be the same, right? 2000%. Okay, yeah, here you go. Now you see, you already have your patterns laid out to you. You didn't need to do anything in Marvelous for this to happen, which in my opinion is very good, because it can be very hard for you to get a particular, to art direct something in Marvelous, right? So if you do this in Maya first, and you art direct everything, and then you come to Marvelous, you just simulate everything, right? So the only problem you're gonna have here is like this will come almost ready to use for you. You're just gonna need to like, Marvelous is not very good with sewing things for you, so it's going to do like I don't know, 80% of the job for you. So you're just gonna have to come here and adjust things for every little sewing that you have. Okay, so like I already have a file saved with this done, so we don't need to waste a lot of time in here. Okay, so as you can see, I've already done all of the job in here. Everything is done, everything is perfect, and this is working nicely. And another thing for you to keep in mind is that you need the first frame of this simulation needs to be exactly the same as your first frame in Maya. So this here, what you see here, needs to be the same as you see here. Okay, if you change it, it's not going to work. So for instance, like let's suppose you want to see how this is looking when you simulate. So you can press spacebar and you can say, oh, okay, this is simulating nice, this is nice for me. But you always have to come here and Control Z it for it to go back to its original state, or else this is not gonna work. Okay, so the other thing that we need to do is go to the animation tab, and now we want to import our morph target. Okay, and you're gonna see that this is very ugly, the way that I did it, but it worked. Okay, like for me, what matters is that it works. So I'm gonna import now my Amy pose object, and I'm gonna add it because I don't want to overwrite anything, and I'm gonna add it as a morph target. 60 frames is okay to me, like 2000% here, and okay. So you can see how ugly this is. This was not supposed to work at all, but as this is Marvelous, it does. Okay, so I'm gonna hit Control Z so it doesn't simulate anything. But now I have an animation here. I have her body changing from one pose to another, which is perfect for us because we just need to simulate this, and it'll work for us. Okay, so like for me to simulate this is very. I'm assuming you have basic Marvelous knowledge. If you don't, maybe you can like find a tutorial that teaches you the main shortcuts and how to get along with Marvelous. But I'm just gonna set like my end simulation here to 600, so I have a bit more space to play with, not only the 60 frames of my morph target. Okay, so like, and if I press simulate now, it's gonna simulate. And you can see that it messed up, but if I come here and just start messing with it, oh, please, yay. Okay. Yeah, now this is looking good. Now I can play with it however I want throughout the 600 frames that I established. And whenever I want to stop it, whenever I'm like, okay, this is nice, I can stop it. Okay, and now this is recorded. Okay, if I press play, let me just change this to real time. If I press play here, you're gonna see that we have recorded every little thing that we did, including my my messing around. But in the end, I have a frame that's looking good. You know, this is what matters to me. And now what we need to do is just come here select these patterns, and I'm going to export this as an Alembic. So what this does is like it exports the whole animation that we have. And so I'm gonna export it as shirt test, and I'm gonna export it. I'm gonna weld the points as a thin geometry, 24 FPS, because this is what I have in Maya. And the only thing that I'll change here is that as I came inside Marvelous with 2000% of the original size, I'm going to reduce it to 5%, which will give me the correct size inside Maya. If it was like 1000%, it would be 10%. Okay, this is like math. I'm not very good at it, so I need to constantly remind myself of what I'm doing. Okay, so it's going to export everything. And if we come back to Maya and now import our Alembic cache, just go to our folder, shirt test. Okay, import. So it already imported this cloth parent here. And if you take a look, let's give this like 600 frames. If you take a look, it's going to be animated. Okay. So what we need to do now, that we can forget the shirt proxy, and we can just get the cloth parent and the shirt geo, and we're going to select the geo that we want to apply the simulation to, and the geo that came from Marvelous. We're going to come to deform and use a rep modifier. It's going to take some time. And if we just hide the cloth parent now, and Maya decides to be generous with us, it should be working. Yes, it is. Let's go to frame, I don't know, 600. Here we go. We have it working. With the UV that we originally had, the shading that we originally had, everything working with our topology, everything. You didn't need to do anything in Marvelous. And one thing that also works nicely is that, like, for this project, like if you see, like, I have fur, right? So like I have a scalp for this. So what do I do with that? I can do exactly the same thing that I did for this geometry. I have my scalp here. So if I use this scalp here to this shirt geo, and I use a rep modifier, it's gonna be heavy, a bit heavy. Just gonna think a bit. Okay, so let's go to frame 600 again, and hope Maya doesn't crash, because, you know, Maya tends to do that. Wow, it's like taking a while. Maybe it's still thinking. Yeah, here we go. I think now we got it. Yep. Frame 600. Let it think. Yeah, here we go. And now you can see that our XGen is also following. It's also being driven by my simulation that came from Marvelous. And that is just super cool, right? Like, let me get like the shirt fur. So let me go to frame, I don't know, just to show you how it is working. Yeah, this is not a very good idea, but like, you can have an idea. Like, the first being also driven by my simulation. And what you can do in the end is go to the frame that you're like, okay, this is looking good for me, this frame is looking really good to me, and you can just delete history. Let me show you. Just select both of the geometries. Once it decides to cooperate, delete history, and nothing will be heavy anymore. Oh. So here you have it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it is useful to you. And if you have any doubts, don't hesitate to reach out on social media to me or commenting down below. What do you think of it? I would love to hear your opinion. Thank you very much.